Hello everyone, my name is Chandredia. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about GitHub Actions. Under that we have to see how to configure self-hosted runners. Okay, in the previous video we have seen what is GitHub Actions and components of the GitHub Actions and under that components of GitHub Actions there we have to run runners, right? So that runners are specific to that provided by the GitHub. So in our case, if we need to more configuration and you wanted to specific mission, you have to deploy and run that jobs. So how to do that? Self-hosted runners. Okay. So basically, what we did earlier, if you see our pipeline, so we use runs on Ubuntu latest. This is hosted by the GitHub action, GitHub server. Okay. Now I don't want this one. I wanted to create my custom OS and my job should be run on that custom VM. Okay. Custom virtual VM where my job should be running. Okay. That is self-hosted one. Okay. Instead of this, we have to use self-hosted. So what I need to do, I created one EC2 instance. So this EC2 instance should able to open the ports HTTP and HTTPS, that is the mandatory to communicate from GitHub Action to EC2 instance. Okay, so we have to open HTTP and HTTPS with open to internet, and that is inbound and outbound. Okay, so it should be open both inbound rules and outbound rules with HTTP and HTTPS. Okay, so inbound I also opened HTTP and HTTPS, outbound also I opened HTTP and HTTPS. Okay, now we have to configure this EC2 server details under GitHub Actions. For that, you have to go to settings. So I'm into settings. There is a actions. Under actions, there is a runner. Okay, so you need to configure new self-hosted runner. So I'm in my case, I'm OS is Linux. So if you have Windows or Mac, you have to select and architecture type like AMD or 64-bit, 34-bit, you have to select and you have to run these commands on that self-hosted mission. Okay. So this commands as it is we have to configure and there is one key. So that key it is related to your GitHub if you have that key, right? Um, so anyone can able to log in. Okay, till this download options I'll show and I'll pause the video and I'll run that remaining commands and will explain you further. Okay, the first step is what we need to do, we have to create folder and get into that actions runner, and the next step is run that, then copy the next path, then copy this, to extract the tar file. This is tar file is extracted. I'm passing the video to run to configure username and secret key. So now I have ran that configuration steps and on that hosted server. So my then I have ran that one. Now it is able to connect it to GitHub and listening the jobs. Okay. Now what you need to do, you have to go to here in that workflow file and edit that file. Instead of Ubuntu latest, you have to use one change self-hosted. Okay, then commit run on self-hosted. Now this is done with 11EB869 with the small application which I have earlier. What it does is, right, it will check out the code and create a Docker image. While creating the Docker image, it will do maven build and created the image, push that image to Docker Hub, and it will be deployed to the EC2 instance where Docker is running. So if I check and that, let me duplicate this window. If you see Docker PS, currently it is not running. So it is started listening, running on job, Docker build deploy. Okay. So, and with this 11EB tag, it is done. Let me check whether the image is pushed to Docker Hub. I think still not yet completed. Okay, let's check any happened actions. I think still it is running. It is completed. Okay. Now, if you observe here, the job is succeeded. Now, if you see Docker PS and the commit ID able to see and the application is deployed. If you wanted, you can able to access the application with the public IP. Okay. If you try to do any changes on your source code, it will be run on self-hosted runner instead of GitHub hosted runner. So we are trying to do self-hosted runner. If you make any source code change, GitHub Actions, self-hosted runner. So this is the source code change, self-hosted runner. So my code changes is completed. Now if you check, the build is running. So if the server is in stopped, okay, it will not run. So that is also we just need to check. This self-hosted runner should always be run. If you this VM is stopped, your builds will not running. So because we have mentioned here self-host runner, right? So if you have Ubuntu latest that is hosted by that GitHub, then your build should be able to run. So make sure you have to run your VM always. If you wanted to run jobs on specific agents or runner. Same right? Similar also Jenkins, if you have agent is up and running, so job should be running on specific agent. So if your agent is not running, the job will be failed on that specific. The same will be applied here in GitHub Actions also. So it is succeeded, and if you wanted to check the status, GitHub Actions demo self-hosted runner. Okay. So we just need to make sure we have to open the ports HTTP and HTTPS, both inbound and outbound rules, and we have to configure that hosted runner details on actions runners. You have to configure the new self-hosted runner. So like this, you have to do build stage 1 VM, deploy stage 1 VM. So those details you have to configure which job should be running on which agent, like which runner. Like that, you have to configure many runners. Okay. And that's all about in this session. If you like the video, please share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.